Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to my channel. My name's Spencer Conway, and I make YouTube videos helping people grow in their faith and follow Jesus. But today, specifically, our content is going to kind of zero in on a subject that I'm particularly passionate about as a youth pastor, which is youth ministry. And so I have my friend Ryan Latham here all the way from Oklahoma, and he's going to be talking with us about 3 things that he believes will stick in youth ministry past this pandemic. I'm going to let Ryan introduce himself in a moment, but I've known Ryan for, I guess it would be since I was in grade 10. So I'm 22 now. I guess that's probably 7 years now. I actually met Ryan at Sparks. Is it called Sparks?
Sparks Camp.
Sparks Camp in Oklahoma. That's like the official camp for Assemblies of God. Am I right?
That's it.
I was lucky enough as a student myself to actually go with my youth pastor, Mike Miller, at the time on a trip that he was speaking at. And while I was down there for a week, I got to meet Ryan, and we just connected. And we've stayed in touch a little bit here and there throughout the years. But super excited to have you on here. Would you still go by Pastor Ryan or just Ryan?
Man, it's up to you. It's up to you.
Awesome. Well, we'll just go with Ryan for now. Can you just maybe give a quick introduction to anybody who is unfamiliar with you and where you're from, what you do?
Yeah. So thanks so much for having me on your channel today. I'm honored. I've been in youth ministry for about 20 years now, and most of that has been in the context of actual student ministries. I was running a leadership college as well, but love the local church, love youth ministry, specifically really passionate about youth leaders and youth pastors. And so I still work with youth pastors every day, coaching and helping them get better. And so love what you're doing, love to be a part of what you're offering here. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. So why don't we just jump right in? You talk about 3 things you believe are going to stick past this pandemic in youth ministry. Could you just kind of maybe give us an overview of what these 3 things are?
Yeah, real quick. So, everything has changed. Obviously, I think youth ministry, for a lot of churches, we're already kind of thinking about a lot of the things that we're doing now, like how do we do video? How do we do that? But so a lot of youth ministries were ahead, but I think there's even those that were thinking that way, it all changed, right? I mean, like how you do small groups, how you do service, how you interact has all changed. And so I think that now that like Easter's over, we've kind of like gotten into kind of a flat plane here of kind of, we're kind of in a groove now. I think people are beginning to think, okay, what's actually going to last? Like, are my 20 hours of learning how to do TikTok actually worth it? You know what I mean? And the answer is yes. The answer is yes. The world needs more of your TikTok. Absolutely. But no, for real. I mean, we are thinking about what's going to stay. And I think there's a lot of things that are going to stay, but here are 3 things that I really do think are going to stick. I think the first one, just a real big overview, and then we'll dive into each one. But real big overview is, I think old school is the new school. I think we need to lead into the normal, not lag into the normal. And then I think we need to go youth MultiSite.
Cool. That sounds awesome. Talk to me about that first one.
Yeah, so the first one, old school is the new school. Okay, so like I'm actually from the old school youth ministry.
Can you define old school? Like what would some of the features of old school youth ministry be?
Like this is like before cell phones, okay? Like before, I mean, like you can even go back before like internet, okay? Like this is like old. Now I'm not totally that old school, but almost. Okay, so like old school stuff. Right now, the personal touch is unbelievable. Like just, I mean, like everyone is like media saturated, media overload. I mean, students are on Fortnite, Mixer, TikTok, Zoom.
What is Mixer? I don't think that's a thing in Canada.
Oh man, you got to get on that, man. You got to get on that. But like they're on all of these things all day long, right? So like if they actually get something handwritten in the mail, I mean, it's like earth shattering. Like, oh my, like what even is that, right? And so a handwritten note, like an actual personalized conversation is so much different than just these mass social media, Facebook lives, Instagram lives, TikTok videos, all these just like kind of put out there for the masses kind of a deal. If you can break through all of that digital stuff and actually start doing some personalized things. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, a handwritten note, huge, right? Instead of just sending text messages, get your phone out and like point the camera to you and hit record. And instead of doing a Facebook generic, like, hey, youth, we love you guys, do a specific short video. Hey, John, I'm thinking about you. Man, been thinking about you and your family, how you're doing. And then send that video as a text as opposed to just writing that text out. Because that text, a lot of people are like, oh, you just copy and pasted that. Like, I'm smart, I know. But like that video that with their name in it is going to go so much further than just a mass text, a mass, social media post, things like that. So I think some of the old school is the new school. And I think the phrase that we really want to get there is be willing to do the dirty work. Okay. I know as youth pastors, we often are like, well, my youth leader, my volunteers are doing that. Ephesians 4, we've equipped the saints to do the work of the ministry. But I think right now we got to get a little bit dirty ourselves and actually do some of that personal contact with our students right now at a deeper level. Even with our youth volunteers, man, stay in close conversation with them. I think that's going to carry in. I don't know that's going to stay forever, but for a long while, I think that personal touch is going to be huge.
Well, it's definitely been huge for us so far. I've been celebrating some wins with our team as far as personal touch goes. One kid is coming to youth tonight for the very first time because he got a personal phone call this week from his youth leader saying, hey, we noticed that you haven't been with us since we went online. We'd love to have you join us on Zoom. Now he's coming. So massive.
Plus, that beats all the algorithms, right? Like that goes right through all the algorithms, right? Aren't in your favor typically. That personal touch beats all the algorithms.
So true. That's awesome. What was the second point that you mentioned?
So number 2 is I think that we need to lead to normal, not lag to normal. And the difference there is this. A leading indicator is something that you see coming down the road that you can begin to create influence and change that. A lagging is merely just stating the obvious, stating what happened, stating history. I think that innovation wins right now. All of us have experienced that, innovating, how we do youth ministry, how we do small group. We're innovating and innovation wins. And I think that that's going to continue to move forward, that we need to lead into what's happening and just be willing to try things. Try a YouTube channel, try TikTok, you don't have to have it all figured out. Look, I mean, like you have a smartphone in your pocket that has everything you need. It has a great camera. It has a great microphone. It has just try things. And so I think that what's going to continue is we're going to just continue to try. For example, a lot of people are trying students doing devotionals through a video, right?
Yep.
Keep trying that stuff. I think innovation wins, and that's going to continue to stay with us. I think that in the past, we've been a little bit more of like, well, it's got to be excellent. We're going for excellence. Right now, it's like, man, just innovate. I think that needs to stay with us for a little bit longer.
Absolutely. That's super good.
You want me to go with number 3?
Let's go with number 3, man.
All right, man, you ready? Okay.
I'm ready.
Okay, this one's a little bit out there, but I think we're going to get there, okay? So I think that youth ministry needs to think multi-site.
Okay.
Now, that's been a buzzword for churches, like churches going multi-site. But I think youth ministries need to think multi-site. Okay, now, as a youth pastor, you're like, what? Here's the deal. I think that we need to begin to think about all of these digital platforms as a campus. So YouTube is a campus. Instagram is a campus. TikTok is a campus. And what I mean by that is that I think that we're going to continue to use live streaming services for our youth. It used to be just for the church. I think that youth ministries will continue to do live streaming of their services, will continue to do pre-recorded elements as well. But what I think what you need to do is to think about each of those platforms as a campus, because how you interact on YouTube is much different than how you interact on TikTok. How you interact on TikTok is much different than how you interact on Instagram. And so we begin to use those and leverage those as actual campuses of our youth ministry. I think that we'll win big, and not just as soon as we go back to the new normal, we ditch all that stuff. But how do we continue those, and how do we continue those, viewing them almost like a campus? How do we resource them? How do we get people involved in them? How do we create engagement on those platforms? And I think you're going to see a lot of great potential if we begin to think multi-site and using those. So I'm not talking about a physical location necessarily, although maybe that might be, but leveraging your digital sources as campuses, and not just, we just broadcast our service to all those and hope it works. No. Like, how do we create engagement on each of those platforms differently? And what do we need to do to engage them?
Man, that's awesome. I've never really thought about it in those terms. I've been pretty involved in terms of like TikTok and YouTube and different things like that. And I definitely have witnessed the opportunity and the potential that's within those platforms for actual ministry, like not just posting a video, but actually generating real conversations around faith and what it means to follow Jesus. So there's definitely a ton of potential there that we have yet to tap into. So I'm excited
I think
to see
that,
where it goes.
Spencer, I know you're learning right now as you're, going through YouTube, like what you do on YouTube, how you film, how you edit, how you create the content for YouTube is significantly different than what you do on TikTok.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So we view them as an actual campus of our youth ministry. And how do we leverage? I mean, we're like, as youth pastors, we're always looking for ways to get students involved. We're always looking for ways to get leaders involved. Here we go. You're our TikTok campus pastor. You're our campus pastor. And like, you know what I mean? Like you're like, students are now like actually interacting online while the service is going, or I don't know, they're creating content, leading, you know what I'm saying? Like they're actually like a campus pastor thinking about how to create engagement and content for that specific area of ministry, and let your students do it, man. They're so much smarter than us anyway. Let them do it.
It's so true, dude. It is so true. They're so smart. Like the first night we went on Zoom for small groups, all of them instantly virtual backgrounds. I'm thinking like, where is this option to get a virtual background? But they all just figure it out like that because it's the air that they breathe. They've been raised in this ultra technological environment. It's pretty cool in some ways.
Yep. So those are three things that I think that we can kind of double down on in this season right now. I think we're in a season where we've got kind of this current season figured out. Everyone's kind of got their weekly systems going. But here's some things you kind of double down and start really thinking ahead. How do we think that way? How can we plan in these directions, right? Old school is a new school. How do we begin to implement, some things that we used to do, yard signs. When a visitor came, we'd like have a yard sign and stake their front yard with, hey, welcome to our youth ministry. We love to have you there, right? Or baked some cookies and had them on their front door, or things like that. Some of the old school techniques I think need to continue to come back in. Again, lead into the normal, not lag. Again, think ahead. Innovation wins. And then multi-site. How do we begin to think about different areas, technology, leveraging those as different campuses of our youth ministry?
That's awesome. For anybody who's watching, Ryan, who might be interested in finding out more content that you have, where can they find you?
Then go to RenewedLeadership.org, or you can find me on social media, just Ryan Latham.
Awesome. We'll definitely have that linked in the description below so that everybody can find you. I just want to say thank you for taking some time to chat youth ministry with me. It's one of my greatest passions. It's clear that it's one of yours, and hoping that this content proves to be super helpful for anybody that got the opportunity to watch it. Thanks so much for joining, Ryan.
We'll see you guys. Thanks for the opportunity.